Well, it was really nice that our government decided to finally release that report. Well, it was really like a lot of people say. I unfortunately have to agree, and I hate to use this term, nothing burger, but that's what it is. I mean, all they didn't even use the word extraterrestrial in there. That's what these things are. There's extraterrestrials. Okay, I'll tell you what. That's my opinion. If it's not extraterrestrials, then it's some other form of intelligent being that's not human. I'll give you that. Okay, there's always that. Maybe they've been here all along. Maybe they live under the ocean. I mean, over 80% of the oceans are unexplored, so who knows what the hell's going on down there. Okay, so maybe they're what they call ultra terrestrial. Excuse me, ultra terrestrial. They're here. They've been here. Or as some other people like to speculate, it's they're interdimensional, meaning they come from another dimension. Which, when I think about that, that hurts my brain. But hey, it could be, I guess. But for our purposes here, I'm going to stick with extraterrestrial. I think they're coming from outer space, from other planets. That's just my opinion. Doesn't make me right, but there are beings here, regardless, that aren't human, but have technology that is far advanced than anything we have. There's no question about it now. No question. And this information is being suppressed, has been being suppressed for decades. This thing didn't just start back in 2004, okay, when David Fravor saw a Tic Tac UFO off when he was flying off the Nimitz. No, no, that's not what's going on here. This information has been suppressed since the late 1940s. And some group, that was established under the administration of President Harry Truman, and then probably worked out even further under the administration of President Dwight Eisenhower, has been has kept the lid on this all of these decades. And that group, the people who started it, they're all gone. They're all dead. Unless there's like somebody who's 100 years old in a hospital, we don't, I don't know. But most of those people, they're not in the group anymore. There's a whole new, different people that were brought in and put on this group. Probably scientists, military guys, and they're the only ones who have access to all the information. Okay, and they're keeping it secret, and they've been keeping it secret for decades. And now they're coming. This is what that report that came out recently, that Pentagon report. That's an insult to intelligence. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who think they're really intelligent and really smart, and they think, well, we don't know what it is because that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson said. Well, let me tell you something. You're not smart. You're not using your head. You haven't researched this subject, and so you just don't know. I'm going to tell you something. I know I've researched this subject. I've seen one of these things. In August of 1994, during a fishing trip, I saw a craft that there's no way it was built by mankind. No way. And there was another person there, another witness. It was a nighttime fishing trip. This thing came out of nowhere. Made no sound. Moved in ways unlike any aircraft I've ever seen. It was only a couple of stories off the ground. I'm not going to get into that right now, but I'm just going to tell you I've seen one of these things, so I know for a fact that something's going on. I think it's time for that little faction in the government. I'm speaking directly to the faction in the government, not the people involved in that releasing that Pentagon report, that 7 or 8 page, that was nonsense. Nonsense. It's an insult to intelligence. You're suppressing the greatest story in our history. That there's beings here that are smarter than we are. They're more advanced. They're flying around in craft that goes far, does things that are nothing that we have can do. I'm tired of this. I want to know more. I know there's something going on. Anybody who's researched this, anybody who's studied this, anybody who's seen one of these craft with their own eyeballs. And there's some people out there who've seen some of these beings with their own eyeballs. And there's some people out there who have apparently been abducted by these beings and brought into some spaceship and had things done to them. physicals. They know. They know what's going on, but they don't. They're always afraid to say something because, oh, the rest of the world, they'll think I'm nuts. I'm going to tell you who's nuts is the people who are ignoring this, right? Everybody needs to stop what you're doing. Right now, just stop what you're doing. Think about this. Okay, there's something going on here. We're all worried about, okay, this side's worried about how many times Joe Biden stuttered yesterday. And while this side's talking about, what kind of shade of orange makeup does Donald Trump have on today? Who cares? It's all nonsense. The real important thing is what's going on here with these beings. Who's flying these craft? What are they doing? What's their purpose? Now, somebody in the government has more information on this. Now, of course, I understand that, one of the big reasons to keep this a secret back in 1947 when something actually did crash in Roswell that was not a weather balloon, because let me tell you something, folks. Weather balloons don't crash. Okay? Flying saucers crash. In fact, remember, the very first Air Force press release said, hey, we captured a flying saucer. Then they changed their story. But let me just tell you something. I can understand back in 1947. Who knows? I mean, I don't think people in 1947 were ready to hear, hey, extraterrestrials are here from some other planet. There would have been some sort of panic, I think. I don't think people's brains were ready for that at that time. So I agree. Keep it a secret. People would have panicked. And the other thing, another good reason to keep it a secret is, okay, yeah, let's try to reverse engineer this thing here. Boy, if we could reverse engineer this, we could we could be the strongest country on earth forever. We'll be way ahead of everybody. The Cold War, it's over. Okay? I could understand that, but look that's over 70 years ago, man. That's over 70 years ago. I mean, there's a lot of water under the bridge now. Okay? A lot of water under the bridge. I mean, then there was sightings of beings throughout the 1950s. Some people saw, like if you look at reports that came out of France during that time, a lot of people were seeing these humanoid beings. Okay? Then in the 60s, we start hearing about abductions. Okay? Then in the 70s, we start hearing about cattle mutilations. Okay? What are they doing? Who are these things? How many species? Somebody in the government has more information, has actual information that could say, yes, we know that this is going on for a fact. Some scientists, some military personnel that are part of some special group that they're the only ones who know. Everybody else around them, they would only ever be told if there's a need to know for some reason. They might have a little bit of information here and there, but there's only a very small select few who have all access to all of it. I'm not even sure at this point. I don't think that presidents are being told. I don't think they're being told anymore. I think they're only told if they need to know. I think that's how secret this is. It has to actually be kept from presidents. It has to actually be kept from people in Congress. I don't think anybody knows. Now, I think some people in the CIA, maybe the director of the CIA, he probably knows. Okay. I don't know. Certain people probably know. Some certain people are in control of this, but it's a very small group because this is top secret. It has to be top secret. For some reason, it's still top secret over 70 years later. That has to come to an end. We need, okay, maybe not all of it. Okay, if you need to, you don't want to tell us about, how they're, what you learned so far about the anti-gravity propulsion units. Okay, that's fine. But how many species are you aware of that are here? And or even are you do you estimate to be coming here? Okay, there has to be some there has to be this group. I mean, put it this way: if there is no group like this, then we're in big trouble because something's going on, man. So that's what we want to know. There's people out there like me who are sick of this. Okay, sick. I mean, this is something I've been, years I've been waiting to hear something, waiting for that, to get more information on this. Because I know it's happening. I know they're here. I've seen one of their craft. And I think I may have been in the presence of one of these beings when I was a kid. That's another story for another day. Okay? But there have been strange things. throughout my 50 plus years of life, there have been some strange things that happened. But the most significant one was seeing that craft that time because there was somebody else there. So I know I wasn't crazy. But beyond that, there's other people. There's been, Travis Walton. Was he lying? How about those two guys in Mississippi back in 73, Pascagoula? Were they lying? Okay. How about those 60-some kids back in 1994, September 1994 in Zimbabwe that saw the flying saucer land, a being come out with big eyes, right? And communicate with them telepathically. Were they just making that up, those little kids? They just, hey, let's make up a big story about an alien landing. And they all stuck to the same story? Does anybody really believe that they made that up? If anybody wants proof of that there's something going on here, all you got to do is read about that story and then it's the done deal. There you go. There's your proof. You say you need physical proof. There's something going on. It's been going on, and somebody in our government has this information, and they're sitting on it. And the mainstream media, I'll tell you what, you guys are just complicit in this. I don't know. I don't think you know anything. But I think you just go along with, you just play the stigma game. When you just report on it, you just come out with your smug faces, little smirks on. I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson on with Ari Melber recently on NBC and John Brennan, the CIA guy, former CIA guy. Come on. Okay, the CIA guy, yeah, he's going to tell us the truth. He's going to tell us what he knows about UFOs on national television. Okay, yeah, sure. And Neil deGrasse Tyson, why is he always carted out like a UFO expert? I don't think the guy ever read a book in his life about UFOs. He hasn't never studied this. He's an astronomer. Why are astronomers now it's him. At one time it used to be Carl Sagan. Now don't get me wrong, I think these guys are great. Carl Sagan was an intelligent guy, fun to listen to. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson, fun guy, fun to listen to. But he's no UFO expert. He comes out and he debunks this stuff. I'm not sure if he's just that dense on the UFO subject or if he's doing it on purpose and he knows more. I don't know, But he makes dumb statements on this subject because you know why? Because he doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no clue what he's talking about. Nothing. He doesn't know what's going on in this with this. He has no clue. He was talking about alien abductions recently on some show, and he makes a statement about, everybody has cell phones. How come somebody doesn't film one? We all have cell phones. You don't think that an advanced alien race coming here would be aware that we have cell phones that could film them? They're not going to let you film them. Yeah, it would be like, some guy gets abducted by an alien and he has a cell phone in his back pocket. And they're about to do some physical on him or worse, okay? And so he's supposed to say, hey, Mr. You don't mind, Mr. Alien, you don't mind if I take a selfie with you, me, and the insectoid in the corner, do you? They're not going to allow that. This is like the stupidest things I've ever. Coming from a scientist. Bring out somebody who knows what they're talking about, somebody who studied this. Okay, bring out the experts on Roswell, the people who've looked into this, the people who've interviewed people like that wrote books about it, multiple books about it, like Donald Schmidt or Thomas Carey. What about his historian like Richard Dolan, who's talked about UFOs and the military for in his books, UFOs and the national security state. Why don't you bring people on like that who actually know what they're talking about when it comes to this subject, instead of an astronomer who's just a celebrity who knows everything about black holes and other things that we can't really see and we can't really touch, but he doesn't know anything about these objects that are flying around right in front of us, right? He doesn't have anything to say about that. Oh, it could be anything. What do you mean anything? Who's operating it? Dolphins? Is there some advanced race of dolphins coming out that have some sort of underwater city, and they're building craft, metallic craft, and to enable them to come out of the ocean and fly around and do things that our technology can't do? Who's doing it? Maybe it's some advanced alien squid, or excuse me, not alien, advanced squid that just lives here. I mean, what are you trying to tell us, man? Very frustrating. Very frustrating. I mean, I'm not talking to I'm not trying to reach the mainstream. I'm just being I'm releasing my frustration at the mainstream and how they've been handling this for decades. I'm just releasing my frustration on that. I'm trying to reach everybody else, the regular Joes out there, okay? The regular Joes out there who, some of you are like me. There's probably a large contingent of people out there who feel the way I do, who feel like, yeah, there's something going on, but, you know, what could I do about it? Get mad. That's what to do about it. You know, tell other people, yeah, let's all start talking about this. I mean, these opinions of, you know, okay, there's other proof besides the Pentagon videos, right? Which are fuzzy and, you know, you can't tell. Okay, but, you know, we have some testimony from pilots and whatnot, and there's video. They have some video evidence caught through the gun cameras. But that's not good enough. There's actually other civilian videos out there that are actually a lot better, clearer, you know, that tell a different story, a much more clear story, but still not clear enough. Okay? There's something happening here. We all need to start let's all work off the pretense that yes. Let's all operate on the assumption that yes, there's something here that's more intelligent than humans. Let's start there instead of just wondering about it still after 70 years. Well, I'm going to still wonder, maybe it's the government coming up with, they're just testing secret. No, they're not. No, they're not. Did you ever see some of the pictures that were taken back in the late 40s, early 50s? That wasn't the government. That was no government made that. Did you ever see the McMinnville picture? Okay. Or the picture that was taken in 1947 by William H. Rhodes over Phoenix, Arizona. Did you ever do any research into this? Did you ever really look into it? Or did you just sit back and listen to what, you know, Ari Melber tells you on MSNBC? Come on. Do your own research. Don't listen to these guys. I mean, all these stations, they're all bogus when it comes to this. They just don't know. It's all frustrating. It's all bogus. It's all nonsense. They never do any of their research, right? They never looked into Roswell. They never looked into the Roswell incident. The airport comes out with some bogus nonsense back in the 90s. Oh, yeah, this was just a top secret balloon project. And the aliens people saw were actually dummies that we start dropping from the sky in the 50s, you know, 6-7 years after Roswell's. And so the New York Times and everybody else, oh yeah, that's all it was. No, it wasn't. They never did any They never sent out their good investigators to look into this stuff. Let me just tell you something, folks. If you want to get into this, if you want to understand how we got from where we used to be to where we are now, do yourself a favor. Go out and get, there's a couple of books out there that I recommend as a start, and they're by Richard M. Dolan, called UFOs and the National Security State, volumes 1 and 2. Get those books. Read those books. They're history books, basically on the UFO subject and how our military has dealt with it since the 1940s up until the 90s. Okay? Read those books. And then give you a better understanding on what's happening now, because this information has been getting suppressed for far too long. And I say to that government faction out there, right? I say to you, what are you doing? I mean, you just, this little bit of information, I don't know if you're responsible for it. Maybe you're not. Maybe you guys didn't even want that little bit of smidgen to come out. You didn't even want the information about the say that we don't know what some of the things are. You probably didn't even want that to come out. You want to keep this ultra top secret still. I mean, who the hell are you guys to sit on history for this long? No, we're all the same. We're all equal here. There's other people here who are interested. I want to know how many species what do you know about some of these things? Do you have any of these things on ice? Any of these recovered bodies from any of these crashes on ice? Do you have any of them? You know, I want to see pictures. Was there any film footage taken at Roswell at the crash site? What do you got? Give us something So let's stop suppressing history. You know, what about the people who were living through this time when this stuff really happened? We want to know. So, moving on to another subject. Back to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Again, Neil seems like a really, he's always a fun guy, funny, very entertaining, very knowledgeable when it comes to the stars and the universe and galaxies and black holes and, but why is this guy always brought on? I mean, I saw him on the Bill Maher show. I saw, he shows up on just about everything. They bring it, CNN, MSNBC, they bring him out on, for everything. Like he's their UFO expert. The guy obviously has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to this subject. He just has his own opinions. It's a guy on the street. It's like pulling off, asking him about UFOs and extraterrestrials is like pulling some guy off the street, and saying, hey, what do you think? And you get an opinion one way or another. That's all Neil is. He's not an expert. But there are some people who you would think are experts, people who've been studying this, people who have researched this, like Dolan, like these guys who have looked into Roswell. I mean, unfortunately, Stanton Friedman, he passed away a couple of years back. He was a nuclear physicist who studied this his entire life, basically. What about, talking to these kind of people instead of, Neil deGrasse Tyson, an astronomer who has no background in UFO research whatsoever. He doesn't know what's going on. But, it's just an insult to intelligence. That's all it is. I'm going to just say this. A lot of us are tired of this. We want you to pull back the curtain. We all want to see the wizard.